talking about socialism today. By myself, Mike Martinez, and Genesis Arreda.
Socialism. Socialism is an economic and political philosophy based on the idea that benefits of economic activity, aka wealth, should be responsibility distributed throughout a society. Socialists emphasize cooperation and social responsibility, ways to achieve a more reasonable distribution of both income and opportunity, thus reducing great differences between rich and poor.
So the Industrial Revolution, there was two main people, one person and two groups that came out of the Industrial Revolution, and the person was Karl Marx, and the two groups that came out of it were socialists and communists.
Karl Marx. Karl Marx theories mostly work on with Frederick Engels criticized capitalism because of the harsh working conditions of the Industrial Revolution. To Marx, the proletariat, the workers, were being so badly abused by the bourgeois, the capitalists, that they were certain to rise up and overthrow the capitalistic system because of the difference in wealth between the rich and the poor.
And what did you call them? I heard the proletariat, but I didn't hear the other group.
Bourgeois?
Huh?
Bourgeois?
The way you say it, just remember 3 simple syllables, because it's a French word, and it's usually the most butchered pronunciation, which is no different. It's burr, like you get a burr under the saddle, then joie, bourgeois, and then the letter Z. Bourgeoisie.
Bourgeoisie.
So, I've got a question I want to come back to you about Karl Marx and his predictions about where communism would happen, but you may get to it, so I'm just putting a placeholder question there, all right?
Okay.
Socialists and communists. The socialist movement was split during the 19th century. Those who believed socialism could only be attained by violent resolution became communists, and those who believed democratic process could be used became today's modern socialists. So in essence, socialists are people who want peaceful revolutions, and communists want violent resolutions.
So could you give us some examples with the countries that adopted the socialist transformation where the state became heavily involved in the economy, and some of the more radical takeovers of communists and where that took place?
Could one be Cuba?
For which one?
For the communists?
Yep, that's one.
China, communists, right?
Yep, that's another violent one.
And social.
Would Canada be socialist?
Canada's socialist, yeah. Are there any others?
The Netherlands, but I'm not sure which. I think they're socialist.
UK?
Yeah, the UK? Yeah, very good. In other words, what? They elected people who like socialism, and then they used the government to help transform it into a socialist country. Yeah.
So there's 4 major characteristics of a socialist economy, and they are the nationalization, there's public welfare, there's high taxation, and there's essentially planned economy.
So nationalization. Placing enterprises under governmental control, often by taking over privately owned industries, is called nationalization. An example of nationalization would be the oil industry in Mexico. This is a huge in socialist economies because socialists are all about equality, so they take with just compensation from the rich and the distribution it to the poor.
Public welfare. Socialists have a priority on assuring that everyone in a society is decently housed and fed. Socialists aim to guarantee the public welfare by providing for the equal distribution of necessities and services, these being retirement, pension, and expensive healthcare, free university education, and housing for the poor.
So although there's the public welfare in the socialist economy, which they give basic necessities to everyone, to balance this out they have to have high taxation, or else they wouldn't be able to fund it. So socialist governments get their funds from taxation. Taxes in socialist countries tend to be high, so taxes they could take away 50 or 60% of the individual's income, but it could go as high as 90 if you're really wealthy. And so socialists tend to place most of the burden on the upper middle classes, which I said, because they have higher tax rates, and tax rates can amount to 90% of a wealthy person's income.
So So you're saying that's an extreme form of progressive taxation?
Yeah, because I think in our country it's 35, I think, at the highest.
Are you talking about the marginal tax rate?
Yes.
Okay. It's actually, there is a higher one depending on, but usually those guys hire tax attorneys. Anyway, yeah, it's close enough.
Centrally planned economy. In a centrally planned economy, government officials plan how an economy will develop over a period of years. A democratic socialist economy may or may not have strict central planning. This is present in socialist societies because the government will be able to provide for everyone better than a few individuals will.
So why is it, I've got a little bit of a question for you, why is it that socialists view and communists view a fixed pie, meaning they kind of look at the system and say there's only so much wealth, so we're going to use government to redistribute the resources. Whereas if you go to the other end of the continuum, a capitalist would say that pie is not fixed. That pie could actually enlarge. Why are there two totally different mindsets on these ways of viewing the economy?
Well, the socialists want to distribute the power, so they give the power to the rest of the people rather than just one person. And the capitalists, there'll only be like one leader, like in the company.
No, maybe I didn't phrase my question correctly. Okay, so you talked about effectively a socialist or communist nation views land, labor, and capital as a fixed determinant. There's only so much of it. There's a finite amount. And so depending on who's in power, those resources can be redistributed according to whoever's in power. But in a capitalist market, the idea behind laissez-faire is that through technology and entrepreneurship, those resources can actually be enlarged and expanded. Why is it that there's such, different view on the economy from these two camps?
Could profit motive have like an effect on that?
Yeah.
Because in the socialist economy, that there's not really that much of a profit motive because they take so much away from taxes. However, in the capitalist economy, there's more, like less taxes, so they have more of a reason to try and get more money. So like people will try to get as much resources as possible. However, in the socialist economy, they get whatever they get, or they get what they get, and that's pretty much it.
Okay, so you're saying it's incentive-based.
Yeah.
Okay.
Socialism in developing countries. One reason for socialism appeal is that most developing nations are starting from scratch at building industries, often having no local tradition for large-scale industries. Since the developing countries are able to get previously established industries, the leader will be able to distribute the industry among its people, leading to a better relation.
And these are the pros of socialism. So socialists say that it's fair to supply everyone with basic needs such as medical care, and that under that is encompassed medical care and such as doctors, and then also dental care. And socialists argue that it's morally superior to capitalism because it evens out inequalities. Defenders of socialism also argue that it gives workers and ordinary citizens greater control of their everyday lives.
And the cons, critics say that socialistic countries have a tendency to develop too many layers of bureaucracy. In the eyes of socialism critics, the smooth running of an economy is too complex to be directed by central planners. Another criticism is that socialism deprives people of the freedom to decide for themselves how to use their income.
And the pros and cons that you presented are in no way intended to be the exhaustive list. These are just some examples, right?
Yeah, it's like the first ones that come to mind.
Okay.
That was my section.